Yeah, what's good, Coach?
Good.
Beautiful. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Maybe, Coach, maybe you can help our producer Jesse out a little bit. We're trying to find. He's a Dolphins fan, and we're trying to find a jersey that he can get because he don't want none of the current players because they probably ain't gonna be here in about 3 weeks. So he said he got him. Well, that's just
that's true.
I got him beating the Jets this week, though. I do have that happening. But he said he got a Marino. There's a Larry Zonka. There's a Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas. Is there anybody we're forgetting? Classic Miami Dolphins.
Brown, Ricky Williams.
Got the Ricky. We got the Ricky. Ronnie Brown. That's a good one. Ronnie Brown, inventor of the Wildcat. Did they start that with him?
Darren McFadden, if you're into that sort of thing first, I guess.
Jake Long. That's a good jersey.
God, remember when Wildcat was the buzzword in the NFL? Oh, my God. It felt like a whole –
My college coach was the one who started that, Gus Malzahn, offense coordinator.
Is that right?
Gus Malzahn, yeah. I didn't like the Wildcat.
Yeah, it's different. It works. It works at times. It depends on who the Wildcat guy is. You got to have Darren McFadden. You got to have Ronnie Brown. You got to have Cam Newton that can actually throw the ball too. I mean, you got to have the right guy. I
just thought, and it like you're right, it did work. It worked for a long time with those guys. But I was just like, there's no type of the defense knows you're about to run. All 11 guys are about to run towards the ball carrier. How can you be successful for a long period of time with that? That was always my thought, but
football was ran like that for a long time until they put that forward pass in there. That's how
coach gets it because that's that Pittsburgh. That's 3 yards in a cloud of dust out in Pittsburgh.
Run that power back.
Coach, you were pretty adamant last week that despite the win, your team didn't play the way that you expected them to. How do you feel after last week's victory? Was that a little more in line of what you expect from your guys?
Yeah, I thought we started fast. I loved where we were at in the first half. I felt like we got some relief syndrome at halftime. So like me, I'm never satisfied. I mean, unless we go out there and it's 70-0. I mean,
yeah, you look mad today, to be honest. You still don't look happy.
No, these dudes, it ain't. It's never gonna be enough. It's never gonna be enough. No.
Anytime you use the term "these dudes," it's not good. This is not good.
When confetti falls down on us and we hold a trophy up, then I'll say, "All right, good job."
I don't even think that's true. You're gonna be Kobe. You're gonna be sitting there like this with the trophy in your hand.
Yeah, it's crazy. When we won the championship I was at Pitt in 2021. We won the ACC championship, and the players were so excited, and I was just thinking like, we didn't play. We could have played so much better. You know what I mean? It's like, Coach, chill, bro. Like, take the picture, smile, man. I'm like, all right.
Are you one of those guys? I feel like you are because you're super competitive, right? And you're a perfectionist when it comes to the game of football, maybe just in life in general. But are you one of those guys where winning is more of a relief than like, I enjoy this? It's like, I'm glad we got the win. I'm moving on to what's next, as opposed to like, let's celebrate.
Yeah, all I think about is like, did you play like with every rep did you play it like your last, and did you do like, were you like perfect on that rep, like striving for perfection?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, then obviously that's what winning's going to come with that. But it's still so much more to like, you know what I mean? Like, there would be games as a player. It's easier to explain as a player than it is as a coach. As a player, where I would have, I think one game I had like 240 yards receiving, but I dropped a pass, and I literally was like in tears about dropping the pass, like the one pass that I dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, you played such a good game. But I'm like, bro, I dropped one pass. Like, I can't drop a pass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that type of mentality is what helps me as a coach. It's a gift and a curse, because players be like, it helps players get a lot better. But also it's like, man, this dude is always on my ass. Like, he's always on me. You know what I'm saying?
So real quick, though, because what I heard there was, not to bring up old stuff or anything, but that from what I could gather, that was the conversation that Ryan Clark was having with Peter Schrager. Because Peter Schrager was saying CeeDee Lamb played a good game, and he played much better than A.J. Brown. And Ryan Clark was saying, first of all, A.J.'s team won, and CD had drops. Like, I wouldn't say he just automatically played a good game. And what coach is talking about is that CD had like 140 yards receiving that game, but he had 3 or 4 drops. And like coach, like he's saying as a player, it's like, I didn't play a good game. I left a bunch on the table. And I think, I don't want to say one person is right or wrong, but that's where they were missing each other. And Ryan was like, this is a player's
but I don't even know that that's a player's perspective versus a non-player's perspective. I just think that's a mentality.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, you think like,
you tell the guys, like, you can't look at it like how your mom would look at it. You know, your mom is going to be like, oh, he caught the touchdown. He met, like happy about, your baby being good at something. Right. But from a player's perspective, and if you don't win the game, it's not good enough. There's not anything that you did good enough. Like, you had to do something better to affect the game, to change the game and win the game. So if you don't win the game, I can't realistically, like, you can, have that fake positive thing where you say, oh yeah, I did good, but really you didn't win the game. So there's a lot of things that has to change so you can win the game. And as a player, sometimes if I have to do less and my team, especially as a receiver, right? You're talking about AJ Brown. If he's had to be a decoy the whole game and he took a double team and that opened up the run game or opened up another receiver to get the ball and his team won, then he can hang his hat on that because he's like, you know what, my team won. Now he's going to be upset. A real player is going to be upset because he didn't get the touches that he wanted to get or make the plays that he wanted to make, but he's going to be happy from the standpoint that we won the game, right? And so there's a lot that goes into it. The mentality part of it, there's a lot that goes into that.
Well, what's this sound like? Like, we're going to be at Baker Family Wines on Sunday at 1:00, drinking wine with Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker, one of the greatest winners Major League Baseball has ever seen, was in here in studio a couple of days ago. I asked him about, we talked about what it meant for us to finally see him win that World Series. I asked him what it meant for him, and he immediately referenced everything that he had lost. He didn't even talk about the one that he had won. He was like, oh, I just thought how I should have had like 4 of them. And reeled off like, moments and games. And like, I think that competitor's mentality is what keeps coaches in a bad mood all the time. It's like, yeah, we won by 30, but man, we didn't execute on this drive. We didn't execute on this drive. We punted twice. And it's, I think it's it's a trait of, I think, the best coaches. Like, that's because they're demanding. And coach talked about that. Coach Marion, you talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Like, you demand a lot of your players, and winning sometimes isn't the end goal. It's playing your best is what the end goal is.
Yeah, for me with the guys, it's really like, it's just such a short period of time with them. And, like, the biggest compliment I get from, my former players is that they're great in life. Like, they're good. Like, they don't need me to come save them or help them. Like, they are good because of the time that we spent together. I made sure every detail of what they need to be successful in life, they have. And I think you just have to maximize that as a coach. Like, I'm constantly coaching our coaches not to waste the players' time and to teach and develop them and be hard on them, discipline them. Every minute that you have with them is of the utmost importance, because these dudes are going to go out into the world. And this world, as you know, for a man is really hard. It's, if you're not a provider, you're a zero. Like, if you can't get it done, if you can't compete, everybody wants to be on TV and be on ESPN and be on the radio. Y'all got to compete every week for that. Like, that's, you can't have a bad show. You can't have a bad performance. You can't say I'm sick today. Like, nobody cares about that stuff. And so everything that we're teaching them is so much bigger than, just the wins and losses on the field, but also, can you wake up, show up every day and win in life? When everything might be crashing down, can you still get up and compete and do what you need to do to provide for your family? And so that's why I am the way I am. It's just because I just see that, all that discipline and structure that my coaches gave me, that's what saved my life when it was time, when football was over and I was out there in that real world and it was time to compete, and your pockets is low and your energy is low and you don't know, you get out of college, so much time, players complain. I remember my grandma, like, you better slow down. You don't want to be an adult. You don't want these bills, like, you want to be grown so fast. And now I know what she was talking about. You know, when you
grandma was right.
Yeah, when you get outside of college, it's real life. You better ain't nobody
no going back.
No free meal, ain't no free lunch no more. Ain't no. It's time to go.
Well, unless you hang out with Kenny. If you hang out with Kenny, you get you get keys to the city.
I don't know what you're talking about. This DoorDash was not free. It came out of that Apple Pay. Coach, talking about the team a little bit, and I look at somebody like Cardell, and I look at Damian at the running back spot and Rodney, and how in the last 3 games or so, it feels like we see them improving with each game, maybe with each snap, getting more and more comfortable, getting better. I think back to all the excitement going into the season, all the names we had heard, practices we saw or whatever, and it was just a little off on the first game. And I think about myself and others, that was probably our fault because we just kind of thought like, hey, there's names out here, they're going to go out here and the go-go offense is going to go crazy from the first snap.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned a little bit last night, game reps matter. Like you can do whatever you want in practice, but actually being in a game, actually being against an opponent who's scheming a different way for you, or just being in that environment, that matters. And it seems like these guys are starting to get more game reps and getting more comfortable. And we probably should have had that type of understanding and gave that grace at the start of the season as well.
Yeah, I always say as a player, it's a little bit different. Like as your first responsibility as a player, right? You just want to get on the field. You want to be able to make an impact for your team and get on the field. And then, as you start to get on the field, then you want to be like a guy who, they game plan plays for you. You make consistent plays and you're like one of the guys. And then you want to become like the guy, like, okay, the country knows my name. Like I'm him. Like I'm that guy. And then you have next level aspirations because of, the progression of what that takes. A lot of our guys, people got excited because of their talent, right? And oftentimes because of talent, you don't think that you have to prepare in a way, people get fooled by their talent, and they don't really rely on their work ethic. The guys that are having a lot of success right now are guys that don't believe that they're talented and they really work really, really hard. And they've worked really, really hard since they stepped foot on campus, and they've been pushed to a new level as a player. But they still had that go through that progression of, I've been at a different school. I was just a guy who got a few touches, a few carries. I was in the game. I made a couple plays, but I wasn't the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like none of these guys have been the guy. We have one guy, Jamar Curtis, who's banged up right now. He was the guy at his school. He was the bell cow, All-American, Walter Payton finalist. Like he was the guy at his school. But the rest of the guys that we brought in, yes, they're very talented. Yes, they come from, prestigious programs, but they weren't the guy, like where they were counted on down in, down out, game in, game out. Boom, you have got to make this play, right? Or we don't win the game. And so for a lot of our players, that only happens in games. And so now they're getting that confidence of, okay, I can consistently make this play. I'm really a guy. Like I can, you know what I mean? You know how it is. And you've played sports. Until it's like, okay, the ball's in my hands. Like I got to do this. It's a little bit different responsibility of just, okay, I'm on the floor. If I'm open, they're going to give me a shot, or if I'm open, I'm going to make a play, right? Now it's like, no, this play is designed for you to make this play. You have got to make this play.
It's a little easier, it feels like, to measure, growth on the offensive end. You talked, Coach, with us a handful of weeks ago when this all started about the trenches, and talked about the turnover in this roster and how it was basically split between the offense and the defense. Are you seeing the growth that you want in the trenches just as much as you might be seeing it on the offensive end?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've practiced violent every day. I said the one thing we just had to do is, it's weird because you have some comfortability with guys you go against every day. I always say, like, anybody can be tough from anywhere. We see UFC fighters that come from, anywhere, all over the country, could come from affluent backgrounds or could come from, poverty, and they rise up in fighting. But first you have to be able to, like, shadow box, have your technique right. Then you're able to hit a bag. Then you get in the ring and you have a spar partner, but then you have to go against a stranger, right? And so the mentality of our guys is just making sure that, like, you've been trained really well and you've went against a really good spar partner. Like, when we go against each other every day, we get after it. If you've been to our practice, you see it's a violent practice. Like, guys really get after it. The first game, I thought we were, a little timid versus stranger. And I'm like, fellas, we've been, like, these dudes are trying to KO you and they can't. They were giving us everything they had. And, our guys were standing there and just taking shots. They weren't giving shots. And then after that, since that game, we've been giving shots and we've been taking shots on people. And we've been, being the aggressor and being dominant. And so I was proud of our guys from that standpoint of trusting the training, trusting that they've worked really hard against each other. Now go beat up on somebody else, that's a stranger, not just beating up on your teammates every day.
Coach Brennan, Marion, Sac State football here on D-Lo and KC. I want to ask Coach just a general football question. I like talking to these coaches and just asking things that I never experienced. And I was watching 49ers Cardinals this past Sunday, and James Conner had a pretty rough injury. And I don't know how rough it is because I turned away and I didn't do no follow-up to see what it was. I just kept it moving. I can't handle that broken.
Spoiler alert, it was bad.
It was real bad. But I can't deal with all that stuff. I always wonder how you guys on the field see something like that and just line up on the next play. Because I don't know if I could do that. If I was on the team, somebody breaks their leg or, gets knocked out, gets concussed, they got to bring the stretcher. Everybody's circling around saying, hey, are you okay? The air cast comes out, all that stuff. And then, all right, here we go, second down. I'm like, wait a minute, I need a second. How is that mentality to kind of work through those type of moments?
There was a great poet by the name of Mobb Deep who once said, there's no such thing as halfway crooks. And, it's just, that's what you sign up for, in the game, when you put that helmet on, you put those shoulder pads on, you lace your cleats up, that, that's why we always say play every play like it's your last, because you really never know in the game of the only thing that's certain in football is injuries. There's going to be injuries that occur. And I think every player makes that decision in their heart and their mind when they go out there and play a full speed, violent game. There's men that run into each other at 20 miles per hour with a smile on their face trying to kill each other. But it's like, it's love. Like, that's respect. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's what, we say football, like, we're not normal, regular people. Like, it's not normal to run into somebody like that and have that type of mindset and take it as like, it's not even personal. It's just what happens when we get out here on this field. And so when injury occurs like that, I think all the players feel a sense of empathy. They feel like, man, like, my guy went down, but then they know, like, this is what I signed up for.
It was Edgar Allan Prodigy that said that, by the way.
I was trying to think the whole time, was that Prodigy or Havoc? Said that? I couldn't remember.
Edgar Allan Prodigy that said that. Coach, we appreciate you. As always, my man, good luck this Saturday. Cal Poly, right? Cal Poly this Saturday. Third game of a 3-game homestand. These home games, man, they're disappearing off the schedule quick. This season is going by fast, man. So get out, show out at Sac State, or Coach is going to be really frustrated with you. And that's the last thing you want is Coach Marion being upset with you. That's right. Coach, we appreciate you. Good luck this week. Looking forward to talking to you again next week.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all. Stingers up.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed.